Shalom, welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year's entitled Parshat Vayikra and the various religious political parties. It's a very, very delicate topic. It's a sad thing to see that within the Torah world, each group has split up into different political parties. So you have the Charaidi world, you have the Rav Steinman camp and the Rav Auerbach camp. In the Sephardic world, you have the Shas camp and then Yachad camp, which of course did not make it into the elections. Daati leumi world is also split up as well, where you have the Yachad camp and the Vayikra. So on the one hand, each group has a shita and cannot work with the other group. It would be like one saying, let's say, for the two religious groups, one says it's very important to go to the army. The other says you shouldn't go to the army. It's totally wrong and usher, and it's going to destroy the kids, and it's being volatile Talmud Torah. The other says the biggest mitzvah of our times for the boy to be in the yeshiva and then go into Mascara, where he could be in the army as well. So you could say it's such big arguments that they're very, very different ideas. Yes, they both hold by Torah mitzvos, and yes, they hold by Torah and Shemayim, and Torah is the Iker, and Halach is the Iker. But they have very, very different ideas, and they just, on this idea, they have an argument. And when it comes to politics and being in the government together, they're pushing for different agendas. What are you going to do? They have to have separate parties. I hear that. It's something to think about whether that could be worked out or not. But that's one possibility. They just cannot be together. But what's sad is when basically have the two groups have the same agenda. And when they're within the Daati leumi world, for example, both parties have the ideas, the same values. They're just wondering whether this group could carry it out or not. And that's of course what happened with Vayikra, for example, where some of the leaders like Rav Druckman or Rabinovich and others, Vesfanadori, held that no, Vayikra is working and it's not perfect and they made mistakes, but they're going to work together with the rabbis and going to keep going. While other rabbis, Rav Dov Lior, Rav Shlomo Aviner, and many other rabbis said, no, they went too far off the derech. So, once again, it could be they held that they just cannot work together in the same group anymore because the differences are great. It may not be as bolate, as clear as go to the army, don't go to the army, but the question was halacha really guiding the Vayikra enough? And I understand, Rav Shlomo and others felt that we just cannot be together anymore, so it was too much. I just hope and pray as we realize that Vayikra went down so great, just focusing on Vayikra, for example, it went down in the numbers so great, and the rabbi supported the other group didn't even get in, that I hope they can have the approach that we mentioned in the previous shiur, where sometimes in life, like the Melech, where it's not a perfect institution, it's a dangerous institution, and sometimes you have to just see that it's better than the alternative. And you cannot always have a perfect situation. Rarely can you have it. So too, I hope that each of the Gedolim, Yetz Hashem, should, in every group that they're in, should be able to see what really, really is a red line. And at what point do we say, you know what, this is good enough, we'll have to work to try to improve it, but it beats the alternative. And I hope every group is able to go ahead and see, well, you know what, maybe it's not really a red line. Maybe we really could work together, and maybe we could go ahead and say, you know, this party is good enough for us. Whether it's the Shas, this is good enough, and let's try to build up the Shas party. The Gimel party in that group, let's try to build that up together, and let's not splinter off into other groups. And Vayikra, yes, it's not perfect. We're going to work with that. That is good enough, and we're going to try to make it better. Yetz Hashem, if each group could have their own unity, then who knows, maybe the next step could be that the religious parties together can have a certain amount of unity and say, you know what, being together, there's great unity there, and that's good enough. And yes, there's big differences between us, but the Taryag mitzvahs, Sinai, there are so many things that unite us, and that's good enough to have that uniting us. And the differences, those are differences, and there's some problems here. But having that aspect really outweighs everything else. That we could reach the point where this is good enough and it beats the alternatives. Yetz Hashem, we should have the Siyata D'Shmaya to bring us to such a level. Shalom.